Hello, my name is Leslie McGahee. Today I'm going to tell you about my favorite children's storybook, which is Hansel and Gretel. Hansel and Gretel is about two children that are brother and sister, and they live close to the woods with their poor mother and father. One night, they overhear their mother and father discussing taking them into the woods because they can no longer afford to feed everybody. So that night, Hansel goes out and he goes and gets pebbles because he says that the moonlight shines on them, they look like silver quarters, and he's gonna lay them out so that they can find their way home. Well, the mother and the father go in there the next morning and they take them out into the woods and they light a fire for them. When the flames get big, they leave and they tell them to go to sleep and that they'll be back later in the evening. Hansel told his sister, don't worry, because he had put pebbles down and they would find their way home. They would just wait until the moonlight shined. Well, they made their way home and their mother was very upset to see them, but their father was overjoyed because he didn't feel right about leaving them in the woods. Well, it came another time and they had to take them back into the woods because they couldn't feed them again. But this night, their mother locked them in the room so he couldn't go out and get pebbles. So when she gave him bread the next morning, he crumbled his up and put it in his pocket, and he laid it out while they walked. And he told his sister whenever they left in the fire and they went to sleep that when they woke up it would be fine because he laid bread out. But when they woke up the next morning, the birds had ate it. So 3 days later, they haven't ate, and they stumble across this house made of bread and cake. And Hansel starts eating the roof, and Gretel starts eating the windowsills, and the witch comes out and says, nibble, nibble, gnaw, who's that gnawing at my house? And they were like, the wind, and they kept eating. And then this little old lady creeps out, and she's like, y'all come in, I'll take care of you. And they go in, she has 2 beds for them, she lays them down to go to sleep, and while she sees them laying there, she's just ate up with their face, and she mutters to herself about how tasty they would be. And then she takes Hansel and she takes him and locks him up in the stable outside. And then she takes Gretel and she starts shaking her, and she shakes her until she cries and wakes her up and says, go fetch the water and start cooking for your brother. When I fatten him up, I'm going to eat him. And she'd go check his finger every day and make him stick it out. And instead of sticking his finger out, he was sticking a bone out. And she's like, he's not getting fat. So then she told Gretel, go ahead and start the cauldron. I don't care. I'm going to cook him anyways. But she was tricking Gretel to get her near the oven, to push her in. But instead, Gretel caught on, and she pushed the witch into the cauldron, or into the oven. Then she went and got her brother out of the stable and saved him, and they went back and got all kinds of treasures and pearls. And then they found a body of water, and Gretel asked the duck to get them across the water, and they went one by one on the duck. And then they finally made it home, and their mother had died, and their father was alive, and they lived off the wealth that they stole from the witch. According to European authors, this child fairy tale story is from the Brothers Grimm Complete Storytales. The storybook was written by 2 authors that were brothers. Jacob Grimm, who lived from January 4th, 1785 to September 20th, 1863, and William Grimm, who lived from February 24th, 1786 to December 16th, 1859. They were German philologists and folklorists that were born in a Hessian city of Hanau, and their first volume came out in 1812 and the second volume in 1814. This volume soon became the most widely read book in the world next to the Bible.